Good evening, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society bringing you our nightly update. And we've had some significant impacts down there to Barbuda and Antigua, and getting into a few of the other lesser Antilles down there, and the Windward Islands as far as flooding is concerned. My heart goes out to them. I've seen quite a few spots that have received some flooding. On top of that, we've got this developing non tropical low pressure off of the east coast here that has caused some very significant rainfall across the east coast of Florida today. I have seen rainfall totals exceeding 11 inches in some places. This storm will be continuing up the East Coast, and impacts will be wide ranging and felt all along pretty much the entirety of the East Coast. And it may be non tropical in nature, but I've got a whole bunch of stuff pulled up on that tonight. Also, on top of that, it's not like that. If you thought that was enough, well, no, it's not. Because we had Karen get developed way up there last night and is already gone post tropical. We have Priscilla out here that has just gone post tropical, but you could see the moisture entrainment up into the southwestern United States. And then we have Tropical Storm Raymond right here, which will also be streaming moisture up into the United States. So we have a very large area of flood watches out here in the southwestern United States, with flooding likely in some spots. So let's get right into it here. We are going to obviously cover Jerry. Karen, I'm not going to mention much more than it's a name stealer, basically. It was definitely a subtropical system, no doubt about it. But it had 45-mile-an-hour winds, still has 45-mile-an-hour winds. But there's the one that, through stereotypical means, that everybody was kind of concerned about and worried about this year. Well, it's gone. And now we've got to deal with the particulars on Jerry. If we look at the satellite here on Jerry, this was a little bit ago when I turned the computer on to run things through. Let me hit the refresh on that just so we can get some current view here. But if you will note that on the satellite, we still have this entrainment of moisture coming up from the south, where the center of circulation with Jerry is up here. All of the shower and thunderstorm activity are still sheared. It is still an asymmetrical system. But while this entrainment of moisture is still present, we could still see considerable amount of rainfall here along the islands. And with the amount of rain that some places have already seen, that is certainly concerning there. I'm going to just go ahead and kind of skip over Earth Null here probably for a little bit. We'll most likely be back to this here momentarily because of our coastal nor'easter. But as far as Jerry is concerned, it is currently located at 21.5 north, 63.6 degrees west. Currently about 230 miles north of the northern Leeward Islands and about 750 miles south of Bermuda. Maximum sustained winds are down to 50 miles an hour, and it is currently moving north-northwest at 15. Minimum central pressure has come up to 1,006 millibars. There are currently no coastal watches or warnings in effect, but we still have hazards affecting land. And it is all to do primarily with the rainfall. Through tonight, 2 to 4 inches of additional rain are expected across the northern Leeward and Virgin Islands. The additional heavy rainfall will maintain a risk of flash flooding, especially in urban areas and in steep terrain. Moisture associated with Jerry combined with local orographic effects may result in an additional 2 to 4 inches of rain as well across eastern Puerto Rico. And then obviously we have churned up seas, so please exercise extreme caution if going out to the water. Any Atlantic facing beach would likely contain some potentially deadly rip currents. Looking at our forecast cone, as you can see, well removed from Bermuda here, so it does not look like we have much more threat. Once we can get rid of this rainfall threat down here for the leewards and the Virgin Islands and eastern Puerto Rico, then the overall threat from Jerry will be completely gone. Right now, I looked earlier, we have a 3% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds in Bermuda. We do have key advisories here and or key messages, and they represent for number one the heavy rainfall impacts. We've already gone over that, and then the swells here that'll be generated from the tropical cyclone itself. If we look at the rainfall forecast, we can see still 2 to 4 inches are possible all the way down to Guadeloupe, getting up Montserrat, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba, St. Martin, Anguilla, and the Virgin Islands, U.S. and British Virgin Islands. And then also over here to eastern portions of Puerto Rico. If we look at the light green is representative of still another 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. That includes Dominica and then also central portions of Puerto Rico. So please, folks, just a little while longer, exercise caution, do not drive through flooded roadways. If we look at the forecaster's discussion, there's not really a lot to kind of go over here other than tonight we do not have any more anticipated strengthening of Jerry. 50 miles an hour over the next 72 hours, making a post-tropical here, maybe gaining strength as it turns post-tropical, and then in 96 hours, and then being completely dissipated by day 5. So looking good. We just got to get through this initial threat. Now, we're going to jump into the ensembles. And what I have here, I'm going to pull this down to the next 7 days. We have the potential for a wave coming off of the African mainland. We thought that what we had with Jerry was going to be the last one. Does look like there may be an opportunity. It's definitely not a guarantee, but there may be an opportunity for one more wave to try to get its act together. And then also we see that we have our coastal low over here off of the east coast, and then the trailing trough or frontal boundary that comes off of that. And as you could see, we'll go back to satellite. Here's where we have our developing low pressure, and then that trough that is sticking down here. Now, just like what we have seen with this developing nor'easter type low, we may see another one. And if noted here on the Euro, we have an area down here, just a few, not a lot, but enough to say, hey, maybe a little something. Nothing with a great amount of intensity. But now, when we also get this out to 10 days, I'd like you to notice here, day 7, here, we're going to run this back to 48 hours. And then we're running it through. Here comes that, here comes one wave potentially pulling northward. Here comes that next wave. And if it does not develop, then This second wave may, as you can see, it does not have a lot of signal to it. It's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16%. All right. But if this were to slip into the Caribbean and does not develop, we will have to keep an eye on it. It is not a high chance of development, but we will definitely have to keep an eye on it because a tropical wave potentially intersecting with a Central American gyre could cause some problems. So now what we have here is the GEFS. This, we're out 7 days, as you can see. We have, the potential for a wave here. Maybe a little bit of a spin up along that trailing frontal boundary down here that could get cut off. And then if it does, high pressure would be sitting in the region and it would be forced off to the west or west-northwest. And that's certainly not out of the question, but it's not going to be in the best environment. So even if something were to get developed down here, it would not be the easiest task to gather up a good amount of intensification. So if I run this to day 10, as you could see then, there's going to be, and there could potentially be people sharing this online, but if you notice that there really won't be a lot of context to it, we're going to have to keep a watch on the Western Caribbean. Now, the Euro, again, if we compare, the Euro has no intensity on this. The GEFS is known for over-amplifying systems in the Western Caribbean. So, again, we have to take this with a large grain of salt. Now, if we compare that with the AI models, here we have the Euro AI. Coastal low, Jerry moving out. We've got this other wave here in response, moving northward in response to Jerry. And then just 3 circles down here, which would represent 6% chance of development over the next 7 days. If we go to day 10, we will note that we don't have much of anything down here in the Western Caribbean. What we have is all of the energy being transitioned over into the Eastern Pacific. That is more of the likely of the scenarios, especially if it was going to attempt to be tropical. And then also, here comes that second wave coming off of Africa. And as you could see through day 10, still plenty of time to watch this. It hasn't even exited the mainland yet. But there may be a delay in the main development region systems out here that may be able to get itself a little bit further to the west than would be comfortable. And that is definitely on the table here. If we compare all of this with the Google DeepMind, now I'm going to zoom out just a little bit as you can see where I was. We're going to run this out to about day 7, right there. As you can see, by day 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is representative of 12% chance. But now as I run this forward to, say, day 10, 240 hours, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That is a 26% chance. It's not high, but it's just about enough to be like, okay, let's not let our guard down yet for the season. And if you also note, I'll run back, run forward. The Google DeepMind is specifically set for tropical cyclones. All right, that's why you don't see anything up here along the northeastern and the east coast of the United States. You also don't see anything in the Western Caribbean. Now, again, We looked at the euro. The euro had maybe a few signals of a low pressure here and there. Well, that we're looking at a low pressure developing right now off the east coast of Florida, and we don't have anything tropical. It is a non-tropical area of low pressure. The Euro AI and the Google DeepMind are not even remotely close to calling for anything what we saw with the GEFS. So, folks, if you see people sharing this particular graphic and only this graphic, take anything that they say with a grain of salt, because you really need to get a comparison, because the GFS and the GEFS love to over amplify the Central American gyre and over amplify storms down here in the Western Caribbean, especially this time of year. You see the exact same thing in May and in early June. And it flips it, and it does the exact same thing when we get into October as well. So just for reference sake, we will be watching it out here, but I'm not 100% convinced that we are going to see anything associated with that second wave. Really got to wait for it to get off of the African mainland itself, because we have seen numerous times this season to where there's a small signal, it comes off of the African mainland, and that signal just completely goes away. If folks would remember old Invest 91L, I'm not saying that that is going to occur again, but it could happen. All right, now let's jump into our coastal low. Now, I will be dealing with the southwestern United States here shortly. I'm going to deal with the East Coast and the Atlantic Basin first, but I promise I'm going to be out here for this flooding here momentarily. Now, this is the National Weather Service Office main page. We have in our areas here, in our pink colors, gale warnings. We've got small craft advisories, just basically storm warnings in this dark purple right here, which would, if it was tropical, it'd be a tropical storm warning, but it's not. It's just a storm warning because it's a non-tropical system. But we also have marine statements all along the coast. We've got coastal flood advisories. We've got coastal flood warnings down here into Florida. This system is going to be very, very impactful over this upcoming weekend. So much so that I have here, and I'm just using this as an example, I have the Euro models, both here. Both screens are of the Euro. This is the wind gusts at 10 meters, so basically 33 feet or so above the ground. And I have the southeastern United States located on the left, the northeastern United States located on the right. All of these numbers that you see are in knots, not miles an hour. And I want to run this forward to show folks that here comes that coastal low. And it is going to be quite impactful. As you can see here, getting out 48 hours. Coastal Carolina, that's big time winds right there. We're looking at seeing wind gusts potentially 50 miles an hour. And maybe a little stronger. And this is what's from the Euro. And if you notice on the outer banks, some of that wind stays there through the next 72 hours. But then look on the right-hand side of the screen. We've got that low pressure really kicking up the waters out here off of the coast of, off the mid-Atlantic coast here. Big time. And we could, again, this is just the Euro. And I've got information from the local National Weather Service office in here for the Mount Holly coming up here momentarily. There's going to be some really, really significant impacts here. So much so that they might be the largest impacts as far as coastal flooding that we've seen since Sandy. So, and I will certainly show these here in just a moment. And as you can see, this is going to linger around for a little while. You know, maybe 4 days or so. So, please, folks, exercise big time caution. Now, I have the Weather Prediction Center up here for a reason. Because, and we're going to see this exact same graphic again here in probably about 10 minutes. But I want everybody to focus in on the East Coast here. Right now we have a marginal risk of excessive rainfall, and I can tell you some of that has definitely verified here along the Space Coast of the Florida Peninsula. They've gotten stomped with rain today. Absolutely stomped. If we go to day 2, notice how this shifts a little bit further to the north. And we're now getting a slight risk of some of that excessive rainfall here into eastern portions of North Carolina and extreme southeastern Virginia, with the marginal extending much further inland. So we could see the potential of excessive rainfall and flash flooding. If we go to day 3, now we're shifting it up even further to the north. We're all along the Delmarva Peninsula, getting into coastal New Jersey, Long Island, potentially up into the New York City metro area, Queens, Brooklyn, Southside Battery, getting towards Rhode Island, especially out towards Cape Cod, Boston, southeastern Massachusetts. Again, you guys have seen these things many a times before. If this was occurring in February, we'd be talking about feet of snow instead of inches of rain. But because of all of this onshore wind and all of the built up water, any rain that falls is going to struggle to find a way to get out. So please, especially in these urban corridors, be very cautious this weekend. Now, if we go into day 4, the marginal risk kind of remains in the region of the Mid-Atlantic and New England states up here. And then by the time we get to day 5, we're clear. Okay? So, East Coast, big impacts. Now, I have here the PowerPoint presentation from Mount Holly and their National Weather Service office. And as you could see here, just scrolling down, they say chance of wind or 55 mile an hour wind gusts on Sunday. We've got flood stages for a whole bunch of coastal locations, a ton of moderate and quite a few majors on top of that. This is definitely a Sunday into Monday event. As far as the big time impacts are concerned, moderate to major coastal flooding impacts anywhere located in this purple, major threat risk of flooding impacts. All right, and there's a lot of little towns right here. You know, Fenwick Island, Millsboro, Lewes, Bowers Beach, Leipsic, Cape May, Avalon, Ocean City, Atlantic City, Beach Haven, Barnegat Beach, Seaside Heights. All of these areas, major flood risk. And then getting, just because it's not major, some of these moderate flood risks could be quite impactful as well. The wind gusts, looking at upper 50s, potentially even into the 60s. Atlantic City, right now, 61 mile an hour wind gust is what's forecasted. Cape May, same thing. Bethany Beach, same thing. Now, granted, this is further up to the north. I don't I did not pull up the National Weather Service office there for like Morehead City and stuff like that, because the bigger, to me, like the bigger flooding threat is definitely up here, but we're certainly going to see impacts because of the fact that the Mount Holly had a PowerPoint presentation. Their office created all these graphics. That's why I'm trying to use them to the best of my advantage here. But I certainly have more information for folks getting down there a little further to the south. And as you can see, the dangerous rip current and beach conditions, storm force winds, 20-foot seas. There will be those sand cliffs with massive beach erosion that will be occurring with this. And as we can see, the next briefing by the Mount Holly National Weather Service office is going to be here by 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. So please, folks, if you're in this area, have family in this area, please have them pay attention to their local National Weather Service office. We're just here to relay the information. They make the official forecast. All right, jumping out to now what this is the National Weather Service office in the same region. This is the East Regional, kind of like the East Regional area, not necessarily just one specific. This is, well, it's the Philadelphia National Water level forecast. But as you could see here, I've got some big time concerns. Here we're looking at the moderate flood risk in this forecast, and it's the tide cycles. All right, we've got the storm coming in. We've got our tides up and down, up and down. Then we start to see those onshore winds. The tide comes in, but the tide doesn't go back out very much. And then we get another tide coming in. And then it doesn't go out again. Look at the low tides and how they are trending higher. This is because of that onshore flow. It's not allowing the water to recede from the coastline. Same thing. You see it all the way down. And I'll scroll through these. It's this line right here. The tides aren't being able to go out. The water is staying pressed up against the coastline. Even if I scroll down, same thing. Over and over and over again, one right after another, with some of these getting up into major flood stage in the purple. I haven't seen any record flood stages, but again, it's all trending higher and higher. That's the problem. I'm just recording every one of them, as you could see. Every single one of them trend higher with the low tides. Even ones that are just the river. Oh, that was terrible. Where we go like this, and then look, we trend higher. We trend higher. Please, folks, I cannot stress this enough. Do not drive through flooded roadways. We're almost to a record here. This one. 9 feet with the record 9.2. This one, oh, nope, there's a new one at Bowers Beach, Murder Kill River. Well, that sounds like a place you want to go for a raft. 9.2 feet. Record's 8.8. Or 8.8. Major flood stage is 8.6. Big time flooding, folks. I mean, this is a non-tropical system. But you don't need a tropical system to cause big problems. These folks up here, they know nor'easters, but this one is, unfortunately, this one's going to be quite impactful. This one's going to suck. just to put it bluntly. This one's going to suck. Now, what I have here is over the next 7 days, I've got both of these are the WPC. This is the official forecast from the Weather Prediction Center as far as rainfall accumulations. The southeastern United States is located on the left. The northeastern United States is located on the right. As we could see, some areas, especially coastal regions, could see some significant rainfall, like we saw down here along the Florida peninsula earlier today. Anywhere where these thunderstorms can kind of train over the same areas over and over again, we may see some very, very high rainfall totals if it remains persistent. But going out, even if I run this forward, you could see it's going to be quick as far as, like the onset of this. And if the rains really do begin to fall in earnest, it's going to be potentially rather quick. And going out 5 days, as you can see here, even for areas like Boston, 4.5, getting out here to Buzzards Bay along the entrance to Cape Cod, 6 inches. Getting out here towards Cape Hatteras, 5.1. So, Morehead City, 4.7. Wilmington, 3.7. So there's significant concerns here as far as the amount of rain that could fall, and then the onshore winds keeping that water pushed up against the coastline, and we end up with a compound flooding issue. And then even if I run this out to day 7, big time bullseye up here for folks up here and in around the Boston and Cape Cod region. So please, folks, don't drive through flooded roadways. And if you don't have to be out traveling this weekend and you live along these coastlines, don't. Please don't. Now, we're going to jump into kind of more of the tropics in general out here so we can get our normal bearings of what we have. So here we have the Euro on the left and the GFS on the right. We have our 850 millibar cyclonic vorticity. This is representative of areas of spin approximately 1 mile above the ocean surface. Now, as I run this forward, we will see, there goes Jerry, the development of our coastal low. The GFS wants to keep it as one solid mass, maybe even moving it inland and driving some of that rain a little further inland into the Carolinas. The Euro wants to kind of give it a double area of vorticity, which this would suck. I really hope this does not happen, because that is going to lead to it kind of hanging around a little bit longer than what we would like to see. Because you would end up with both of these areas of vorticity trying to rotate around one another, as to where this one's going to come like this one is going to want to come like this. And you could see it as we go forward here, to where that other one, as that goes out, that other one wants to come down. It's not exiting out like you see with the GFS. The GFS wants to kind of just, even though it started further inland, as one solid mass. The Euro kind of leaves a little bit of a remnant area of energy. I don't know if you want to call it remnant, but it leaves this in this area a little bit longer than what the GFS does. And that could just extend some of the impacts for 6-8 hours or so. And not like the impacts aren't already going to be significant enough. And then, as you can see, we'll roll this out. We'll get this to day 7. And we have the Euro trying to develop something out here into the Eastern Pacific. That will go that way. You've got the GFS trying to develop a Central American gyre right here. There is one wave and there is another wave. We've got our second wave and our first wave right there. Now, we are going to run this out to day 10, and you will see what the deterministics, what we're calling for. Now, you can also see, boop, right there on the GFS. Now, if you remember, some of the ensembles were showing some kind of like big monstrous system in here. The deterministic doesn't even have that. But another area of potential vorticity trying to organize on the back end of this trough, which we've seen that numerous times this year. It is certainly not out of the question. And then if we roll it forward, the Euro here has one of those waves getting in, but look at this bowling ball low pressure that the Euro would be calling for. At this point, no. This is going to find, if we were able to run it out that far, this and this, those two aren't going to mix. Making it to the United States would be extraordinarily difficult. All right, now we are going to take a look at our humidity. Again, Euro on the left, GFS on the right. 500 millibar levels on the top two graphics. That's approximately 3.5 miles, or around 18,000 feet above sea level. On the bottom two graphics, that is the 700 millibar level. That is approximately 10,000 feet, or around 2 miles above sea level. Now, as we run these forward, we will see that dry air associated with this low pressure off the east coast of the United States barreling a whole bunch of dry air down into the Florida Peninsula. And as we roll this forward, we will see another frontal boundary trying to encroach its way in, but that one looks like it's going to be a little bit more focused offshore and not down, truthfully, right down the East Coast. And then as we continue to roll this forward, just keep an eye on the dry air, especially at the 500 millibar level. I mean, if this is what's going to verify, even if, and especially this is ridiculous. Like, this is ridiculous. We've got the one wave there, and we've got another little area there, and another wave that's trying to exit here. But Lord have mercy on it, because it is going to run into all of this. Same thing here. Got that other wave right there. But this is in its way if it's coming for U.S. interests. Now, for everybody else, especially down here into the islands, we've still got plenty of time to watch this. So we'll be here to help. But keep an eye on that one for sure. And now we're going to look at our wind shear. Again, Euro on the left, GFS on the right. This is representative of the winds between the 200 and 850 millibar level. The 850 is around 1 mile, or 5,000 feet above sea level, and it goes all the way up to the 200 millibar level, which is approximately 40,000 feet, or getting into, a little over 7 miles above the ocean surface. Now, as we run this forward, we will see there's our trough, our coastal low there, everything, a little bit of an upper level low breaking off on the Euro, still tied to the trough, more elongated here on the GFS, still tied to the trough. And then as we run this forward, we get that deep shot coming out over portions of the Atlantic. Now, at this point, we also have what looks to be a little area of shortwave right there and right there. We're, just a little over day 7, and they're pretty darn close to one another. So that is certainly going to be something that we will obviously want to continue to monitor, because that may bring a little bit of an opportunity for severe weather, possibly, across the northern Gulf Coast states. Still too early to tell, but a shortwave trough could be enough to kick something off. And then as we continue to run this forward, we get the thing is that if you look down there in the Caribbean, there's not a lot of shear in the Western Caribbean. Now, as it's trying to get into the Eastern Caribbean, that's a different story. And as you could see here out at day 10 on the Euro, knowing that that area was trying to develop, it is right there. And then you'd have ventilation off to the north. This is an area that would be concerning if we can get a seed in it. Hopefully we don't. Hopefully we don't see anything there and we see all that dry air existing, and then we get a reinforcing shot with this deep low pressure here. This would be ridiculous. That's got it down to 986 millibars, and if that were to roll through, it would basically put a block and force something to try to turn this way and wouldn't make it to the U.S. All right, now for our nightly update on our Madden-Julian oscillation, as you can see here, oops, I clicked on it instead of just highlighting it. It is still kind of phase 1-ish. We will have to, wait a minute. It's forecast from October 9th. Today's the 10th. So this is yesterday's graphic. Let's try that one more time. Let's go back. Let you do that. Click on MJO. Scroll down. Yep, still the same thing. So we did not get an update today. But this is forecast to move phase 2, phase 3, just to kind of give you guys an idea. Here on the GEFS, if I scroll down and pull up the control member, you could see this is pure phase 2, phase 3 right here. We're over here. This suppressive phase would be moving into our region. And that's what we're looking for. Buy us some time, because it may be once this suppressive phase comes in, by the time that suppressive phase were to try to cycle out, it may be too late for the season itself. Very possible. Very, very possible. Let me set that back up. And the 18Z is running. All right, now let's jump out to the Eastern Pacific. Okay, yeah. I didn't think we were going to have too many questions here. So we have Priscilla and Raymond. First up, Priscilla has gone post-tropical cyclone. Didn't need to be really much of anything. The moisture and the damage is pretty much already set in stone. If we look at the rainfall forecast, I have for the southwestern United States, the WPC located on the left, the NOAA blend of models located here on the right. We could see some, with this coastal trough coming in, some rain for California, but the big concern is the flash flooding all in throughout Arizona, parts of southern Utah, especially here in southwestern Colorado. And then this is quite concerning because there's been rain falling out here already today, quite a bit of it. This is still yet to come. And with the WPC showing the highest rainfall amount there in and around Durango, Colorado, almost 8.5 inches. That could lead to some flooding. Certainly in areas of higher terrain. I would not be surprised by that. Now, again, we're back over to the National Weather Service office. Everything located in this green here, this is all flood watches. All of it. That's all flood watches. Oh, hold on just 1 second, folks. I gotta let the cat out. All right there, sir. There you go. He jumps up and pulls on the doorknob like his little paws are gonna open the door. If we did get like the regular, instead of the circle knobs, we had the little L knobs, you'd never be able to close the door on this cat. Ever. He'd be in and out of the rooms constantly, and I wouldn't be surprised if he'd shut the door behind him. He's like that. But if we can also take a look here, we've got flood advisories already in action and a flash flood warning already in effect. This one's from Las Vegas, Nevada. We've got one from Flagstaff, Arizona. 2 of them currently in effect. So the flooding is definitely going to occur. There's no question about it. This is why the Weather Prediction Center has moderate risks here for central Arizona, extreme kind of eastern, just an eastern portion there of Nevada, and southwestern Utah, with the slight risk getting into parts of Colorado, more up towards central Utah, getting back towards Vegas and Laughlin, Nevada, and southeastern Nevada, getting into the majority of Arizona and extreme northwestern New Mexico as well. This is today. Here's tomorrow. Okay. Here's day 3. Now, you see how everything is kind of shifted and now it's dropped back down to the south. Well, days 1 and 2, this is Priscilla. Now, welcome Raymond. Day 3 with a slight risk into southeastern Arizona, southwestern New Mexico, and extreme western Texas. Day 4. Again, very, very similar areas, especially when we're talking about down here into southwestern Arizona. Day 2, slight. Day 3, slight. Day 4, slight. Day 5, remaining in the marginal. All right, big time chances for flash flooding out here. Obviously, they need rain. You're in a desert, you need rain. But that's a little bit of a problem. Now, we're going to run the particulars on Raymond. As you can see with the current satellite, or one of the most recent satellite, this is starting to move away from the western coast there of Mexican mainland, and it is currently located at 19.1 north, 106.5 west. Maximum sustained winds of 50 miles an hour. Yes, 50 miles an hour. It is starting to weaken. It's down to 50. Moving northwest at 17 miles an hour, so rather quick. And 1,000 millibar for its central pressure. The government of Mexico has upgraded the tropical storm watch to a tropical storm warning for parts of the southern Baja Peninsula. We still have warnings in effect for all of these areas. Tropical storm warning, I'm not even going to try to pronounce them. And as you can see, we definitely have warnings in effect. Wind should be a given. We are definitely looking at seeing tropical storm conditions in the tropical storm warned areas. Rainfall, 4 to 6 inches with local amounts of 8 inches or more. That's a problem. 1 to 2 inches are expected across portions of the Baja Peninsula. As you can see with the forecast track, definitely with the need of tropical storm warnings there. And if we look at the overall key messages, we've already kind of discussed that. I'm trying to get to this graphic here. I should have set it up in a different way. This is our rainfall forecast. As you could see here, we have an isolated 4 inches plus in this area here of the green. And then we get into land here and look, it's still going up. But our area here in Sonora, isolated 8 inches plus with a 6 to 8 inch rainfall forecast. This could easily cause flash flooding. So please, just want everybody to be safe. It's the whole reason I spend all this time. I don't want any fatalities. 0. I don't care who you are, where you live. Our forecaster's discussion. Now, again, we're not going to go over a ton of this, but as we could see here, Raymond is forecast to continue slowly weakening through the 36-hour mark, becoming a post-tropical remnant low, and then dissipated by 60 hours. But the moisture is still coming for the southwestern United States. There's not much that can really stop that. Moisture from Raymond will bring the threat of additional heavy rains to portions of the southwest U.S. Sunday into early next week. It's why we spent so much time trying to go over, in detail here. Now, our most likely arrival time of tropical storm force winds will be sometime after sunrise tomorrow morning for the southern portions of the Baja Peninsula. Please try to make sure that you wrap everything up tonight. Now, I was taking a look at the wind speed probabilities. We do see the tropical storm warning in effect, but we have a 25% chance of seeing those sustained tropical storm force winds at its maximum. So, it may, if the storm weakens a little quicker, or, obviously if it holds on a little longer, the percentages will go up. If it weakens a little bit quicker than what's forecast, maybe the percentages will come down just a little bit. Maybe it'll weaken to the point to where they cancel the tropical storm warnings there for those folks. Still be a nasty little storm, but every little reduction that we can get is a positive. Taking a look at our ensembles. This goes out 7 days. This is our Euro ensembles. As you can see, the Euro does want to spin up something potentially down here south of Mexico, and then obviously there goes Raymond off into the southern portions of the Baja Peninsula, and then into the history books. If we compare that with the GEFS does have a little bit of signal here. There goes Raymond, but doesn't really bring a lot out from it. A lot of it has to do with the fact that it's trying to spin up something here into the Western Caribbean, but being the only one that was really trying to show anything of significance. And then if we also compare that with the Euro AI, we have a little, again, a little bit of a signal down here south of the Gulf of Tehuantepec, and then potentially trying to creep out from that. So it's this time of year to where the folks here in southern Mexico really have to keep a watch on anything that develops, especially after we saw what occurred with Hurricane Otis a couple years ago, to where we had not much, and then the next thing you know, Acapulco got hit with a Category 5. And that all changed within about 18 hours. We went from a tropical storm to an absolute monster in no time. All right, jumping out to the Western Pacific, we've only got one. Nakri out here, or Narki, or however you want to pronounce it. Looking here, currently tropical storm at 40 knots. Will forecast to potentially gain typhoon strength. And then what we are really watching for, this area here, this particular island right there, got absolutely lashed by Typhoon Hailong. They were certainly receiving sustained typhoon winds, which are the equivalent of hurricane force winds. A typhoon is named at 65 knots, which is the same as a hurricane. So identical type systems, just two different names. That's all. And it is these folks right here that I'm kind of concerned with. I do like the adjustment of the Joint Typhoon Warning Center of a little bit south of where we were looking at yesterday, but still way too close for comfort. All right, everybody. I am going to go ahead and sign off here for tonight. That's about all I have. Please, everybody, monitor your official sources. Folks in the United States, please make sure you monitor your local National Weather Service office, especially if you live in the areas of the southwestern United States and or up along the east coast of the United States. Stay safe, everybody. Stay weather aware. That's all we ask. For our friends down there in the islands, just a little bit longer, guys. And Jerry will be gone. All of the inflow will, reduce. And then we will start to, over the coming days, we'll start to shift our attention back out to a couple of these waves and see what we get. So have a wonderful evening, everybody. Again, stay safe all. And we will talk to you again tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, here on Facebook and YouTube. So until then, have a great night.